Kayla.
Hello.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
It's so good to meet you. I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
So tell me a little bit about yourself so that everybody who's watching can get to know you as well as what you're going to sing and a little bit about that.
Okay, great. So my name is Kayla Nanto. I live in the DFW area in Texas. I've been part of the Dallas Opera's Performing and Education Outreach Program for 2 years now. And last year I was also a studio artist with Fort Worth Opera. I do kind of gigs around the area. I teach, make it all work, or at least I did pre-COVID. And yeah. I still have got a couple online students, so that's cool. But yeah, that's basically what my life kind of looks like. Today I'm going to be singing Que fais-tu from Gounod's Romeo et Juliet. And this is an aria that is sung by Stefano, who is Romeo's page. And he's a little bit of a troublemaker. So he's kind of, I imagine him as like maybe 12 or 13-year-old boy or really young adolescent.
Yeah.
Because he just clearly doesn't realize what his actions are going to unleash, I guess. So basically, he's kind of walking around outside of the Capulet's house. And I think the night before or very recently, he kind of helped Romeo sneak in there to meet up with Juliet. So he's kind of in the know of what's going on. And he's sort of waving that in the face of a lot of these Capulets. So this is a very taunting aria. And he basically says, watch out, you guys, like Juliet's gonna fly away and be with Romeo, and you should really be careful, and he kind of pokes, he's kind of insulting them as well, like making comments about how they're always like warmongering and whatever. So yeah, and then after this, it starts a huge fight in which Mercutio and Tybalt get killed. So
right.
Yeah, it's fun in the aria, but not after, so we don't know that yet.
It's loose after this aria. I know, it's very, talk about feeling guilty, right? Ugh. So cool. Okay, well, great. Do you want to sing through it first once, and then we'll kind of talk about it?
Yeah, sounds good. Depuis hier, je cherche la bombe.
Yay. And I was like, bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love it. How do you feel singing the aria?
Like me personally?
Yeah.
I feel like it's really fun. Right now I'm a little nervous, obviously.
Oh, okay. I get that. But that's okay. But generally, like you like it. And you
Yeah, I do. I have to be careful about like letting my larynx creep up and getting like too bright in that direction, because I mean it was like originally a soprano, I guess. So sometimes I kind of have that brighter sound in my mind. But
so what do you mean by too bright? Just out of curiosity. I feel
sometimes
like sometimes I feel like the word bright comes out as a negative thing in singing, and I'm not ever quite sure why.
maybe I should say instead shallow.
Okay.
Like without the space behind, or
Uh-huh.
yeah, more in that direction. Bright is not a bad thing. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
like
No, I'm just curious because I would just be curious as to kind of like the thought process there and like why. Because I think like I've always said, you know, for a long time, like when we learn how to sing technically very well with the voice that we were given, then it's our voice, it's the voice we were given, and what we
Right.
can do with it is what we can do with it, and then we see what repertoire we can sing.
Yeah.
Right. Rather than this constant idea that we have to be pigeonholed into, you know, you're a mezzo, you're a soprano. It's like, well, they're actually kind of soprano too roles. Most of the things that mezzos sing, unless you're a very deep mezzo.
Yeah.
Right. So it's sort of this idea. I'm always like, please just sing well and the rest will follow.
Yeah.
Right. So this is so fun. I love this aria. Great. So on just like musical stuff in general, I think, and it's hard because you don't have an orchestra supporting you. I think it'll be fun and create even more sort of dynamic range for you to make sure that even without the accompaniment, that you're changing those rhythmic sections up more. Like, so the sections that are kind of long in legato to really make, you know, like, it's like super, and then as he says, like, you know, so it's really crispy, right?
Yeah.
It came out of the fryer. That stuff is like this like beautiful watercolor kind of thing. And yes, he's young, but I think he's totally capable of kind of like all those feelings.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's being really, I think he's instigating. And of course, when you play the character, right, you know that you try to, of course, be understanding of your character. And even if you were like a bad character, like an evil character, you yourself wouldn't consider yourself to be evil. So I always think, you know, with Stefano, it's like, I don't think he's trying to instigate something. I think it's almost like he can't help it because he's of that age. And so he thinks maybe because he's young, he's still immune to the rules of what's happening in his society, and he doesn't realize that he's creating a problem. So in some ways, he probably says things maybe that are like more pointed because he thinks he's going to be, they're just going to laugh it off, or they'll be insulted, but nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you can go even further to the extremes just in the expression of, especially just the words themselves. Like when he says, you know, like les vautours, you know, sont à la cuillère, you know, or like leurs becs sont aiguisés, like this whole thing, like that's just nasty. Like really, they're sharpened. I mean, it's obviously they're daggers, but he's talking about vultures. He's like, I'm being super clever. I'm talking about vultures. I'm not talking about you. How would they ever know? I'm talking about vultures. You know, it's that kind of mentality, right?
Right.
So let's go back to the beginning. I love this little russet. It's so fun. You can spend hours on it. So I would say, think to yourself in the first russet, and I'm sure you've done all of this already, so I'm sure I'm saying things you know. Especially so depuis hier, je cherche en vain mon maître. So I think in a way you're kind of like, that could be to you walking down the street. It could be, if you want, you could do it as if you were just sort of saying it a little bit loudly in the street. That's kind of up to you how you want to kind of approach it. Because even just like where your brain, like where your mind eye goes, like thinking that you're looking up at windows, you know, depuis hier, je cherche en vain mon maître. Est-il encore chez vous, mes seigneurs Capulet? Right? Or you do it to yourself, like, oh, I'm still looking, you know, depuis hier, je cherche en vain mon maître. But as you said, if he helped him in there, he knows it's there. So maybe that first one can still be a little bit like, Depuis hier, je cherche en vain mon maître. And I like that there's a break. Because maybe you're waiting for a response.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of just saying like, allô, you then say, is he still with you? Which is damning evidence. Right? Est-il encore chez vous? So those words like, est-il encore chez vous, mes seigneurs, Capulet? Like think of the Capulet also like you're spitting on the ground while you say it.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Voyons un peu ce qu'il vaut digne valet. So now this is, and digne is, even though he's saying worthy, he doesn't think they're worthy, right? So let's see if your worthy, servants are going to come out and do something about me.
Yeah.
He is really challenging them, right? So do that rest it again. It's really fun. Have fun with that sort of really chatty.
All right. Depuis hier, je cherche en vain mon maître. Est-il encore chez vous, mes seigneurs Capulet? Voyons un peu si vos dignes valets à ma voix ce matin oseront reparaître.
Yeah, nice. So there's always a fine line, I think, between instigating. How do I describe this? I think there's a fine line between being disrespectful and being angry.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it's like you can be disrespectful but not angry.
Okay.
And that's just something to think about in terms of how your face projects the feelings. Like, voyons un peu si vos dignes valets, right? À ma voix ce matin, oseront reparaître, right? So it's really use those words even more. You already did it so well. Just do it again to have fun with like more oseront reparaître. See how disrespectful you can be without getting angry towards them. And still, because it's that childlike kind of disrespect.
Right. Okay. Depuis hier, je cherche en vain mon maître. Est-il encore chez vous, mes seigneurs Capulet? Voyons un peu si vos dignes valets à ma voix ce matin oseront reparaître.
Good. How did that feel?
It felt cattier.
It felt cattier. That's okay. I mean, he's kind of catty.
Yeah.
I want you to just see if we can like nudge you again in some other direction, again, so you feel more and have a lot at your disposal.
Yeah.
Think also a little bit about the dynamics too, just because that'll help inform, I think, where you're going with his words.
Yeah.
So the first one, like, depuis hier, je cherche en vain mon maître, none of it is very loud. In fact, I think. Est-il encore chez vous, mes seigneurs, Capulet? Like, have fun with guys. Like, think of a little, I don't know if you have siblings or younger siblings, or if you have, nieces or nephews or whatever, who, like, they're not really angry when they're being nasty. They're just being nasty. They're just kind of like, you're a stinker. Well, you're a stinker. You smell. Well, you smell. They're not fighting, actually, which is funny. I think as adults, we lose that distinction because we're just angry too. Right? But
Right.
Kids can sometimes be mean and stuff without being angry at the same time. It's fascinating. So they're just like, well, you're nasty, you're gross, you're this, ew, whatever. And that's kind of where I want you to play around with just for now to see how it feels. Just do the last phrase, actually, the voyons un peu, and really more in this like, let's see if your so-called fancy pants servants can come and talk to me. Okay. You know, this, like whatever would fit with you and your personality.
Okay.
That was good. I like that. Did you like that?
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's sort of like a little lighter too. You don't have to worry about, because it also helps inform the singing, right? The singing then doesn't have to be so heavy or anything or so loud. It can follow suit, right? Let's go on. That's really fantastic. So in the next section, que fais-tu blanche autour d'elle? I always think that this first little section is just like, he thinks he's so clever. He's singing to her.
Yeah.
And again, it's kind of like all about the words, like que fais-tu blanche? He doesn't, do you think he likes or dislikes Juliet?
I'm not sure. I would think he wouldn't like her. Maybe he thinks she's hot. Who knows? But like, I think it's more of a like he kind of feels like his family's awesome because Romeo snuck in there and is like with her and like right under their noses. So I think it's more of like he sees her like that than really even as a person. I don't know, but maybe that's too extreme. But yeah, I think.
Yeah, you could definitely go with that. Absolutely. Go with that. You can take a couple of probably different approaches. If you want to turn it on the positive spin, you could say, you know, you love and respect Romeo so much that you're going to love and respect what he's doing. And again, you're a young kid, so like you might not necessarily be thinking about the romanticism of it. I mean, he's old enough to, but maybe it's more about like that he thinks he's so clever.
Yeah.
The music, at least to me, makes me feel like he's speaking about something honest.
Okay. Like, yeah, that's a good idea to try for sure.
To see how it feels. Because it's just very like, it's gently this. It sounds like he's on a guitar, right?
Yeah.
I just think if you could go for the, you know, que fais-tu blanche autour d'elle? Because then he says in this nest, of vultures. So he's saying, what are you doing, you white turtle dove? You know, in this nest. Yeah. Quelques jours déployant ton aile, tu suivras les amours. Right? One day you're going to fly and follow your love. So for fun, take it as a positive.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And that way, when you go into the next section of vautour, you can really get angry maybe, right?
Okay, yeah, I like that with the contrast a little more.
Yeah, exactly. Vautour, il faut la bataille. It's like you want to get out of this with you want to leave with love, because in there it's just this nasty, always fighting, always all of this kind of stuff, and then back to this laisse-la ces oiseaux de proie. You know, he says leave them.
Yeah.
Ces oiseaux de proie pour tourelle qui fait ta joie des amours de baiser. Right, so he's a little like, it's funny, the more I think about it, the more I think of him potentially even being able to go into that teenager, like, ew, this is gross, like, des amours baiser, but I don't think the music is saying that in the moment, so I might not go there. But anyway, play around with that, see how you feel for that first verse and the next sort of more rhythmic part of the verse.
Okay, so go through.
Yeah, basically through that, like, maybe sont aiguisés.
Okay.
Yeah. See how you are inspired. We could go further, obviously. It's totally up to you.
Okay. Que fais-tu, blanche toute oreille, dans ce lit de vautour, quelques jours déployant ton aile, t'achèveras les amours, et au vautour il faut la bataille, pour frapper de sang
feel about that, just in terms of where your brain is?
I kind of like that as a contrast more. Otherwise, I'm like always at this level, and there's nowhere to really go to make that contrast that you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. And I think it would be also good to continue the contrast with your dynamics as well.
Okay.
Beginning is quite soft. You know, que fais-tu? Where's my? Que fais-tu? Just softly. And I think maybe in the beginning too, like, maybe there's an ounce of concern.
Okay.
Maybe, you know, que fais-tu, blanche tourterelle, dans ce nid de vautour, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think smiling is not prohibited in this, right?
Yeah.
Or no, that's the second verse. What is it? Right? You can maybe play around with that first section being a little more in that sort of, the concern turned into hope, perhaps, maybe like an ounce of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe the more human we make them all, the more relatable, right, the story is. And then you switch kind of on a dime, which is what they all do, right? They're probably not bad people in general, but they just keep on, you know, doing this thing because nobody's talking to each other, right?
Right.
This is why the story is so tragic. Every time we read it, it's tragic, right? So so go into that switch of like, and then go on this time into your back into this sort of like, oh, come on, just go more. Maybe this is like a pleading. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a niceness there, and then you go from that into snarky again, right?
Yeah.
He's like all over the map. Try that again. That was really good.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that part. That was great. That was so fun, especially at the end, because you were like really lovely and amorous. And then you remembered in a way you were like a teenager too, and that came in, you know, that kind of thing. It was awesome. I thought that was brilliant.
Thank you.
And des amoureux baisers, and go into the next section. So, gardez bien la bataille. I think you could also think of this as like, again, it says pianissimo in the orchestra, so you don't have to sing over a big orchestra, which is great about this aria.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. It's not a big, it's not a killer that way.
Yeah.
Very like plunk, plunk, plunk. So have fun with the dynamics. Gardez bien la bataille. It's like his sort of laughter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, have fun with we think like ha 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 sha.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
gonna happen. Just do that last line right before it. Maybe you want to just do laisse là ces oiseaux de proie. I loved that sort of pleading into the smile. That was great.
Okay.
How'd that feel?
That was okay.
What did you think about just going through it mentally?
What, you mean emotionally or?
Yeah, like what did your brain do kind of in terms of the character from Des Amours Baisers, which was fantastic, into this next section? How do you feel sort of character-wise in that section?
I feel like then it's kind of a time to show off a little bit, maybe like, haha, she's gonna leave you. Like, I'm not sure if that was super clear or not, but I think that's a really when he's very upfront about the taunting. Before it's a little bit like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you? It's like inflammatory, but this is like explicitly so. So I don't know. I kind of see it as like a flaunting moment a little bit.
Oh, well, I you just did the sort of like that kind of thing. Like, see if you can incorporate that, literally that, into your singing, kind of as you're doing it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe qui vivra verra, whatever. I love this, votre tortorella, right? And it's I love the whole qui vivra verra. It's very like, let's see who ends up winning at the end of the day, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was good. Do you want to do that section again?
Yeah, sure. Starting at the same place.
Yeah, or you could do Des Amours Baisers. That's fine.
Okay.
Nice. That was good. Did you like that?
Yeah, I felt more connected to like, I don't know, my whole body even.
Yeah. What created that connection there for you?
I'm not sure. I guess that's something that really I accepted deep down. I don't know that emotional path, so it felt like right to kind of do it in that way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, totally 100%. I mean, and that would definitely give you the feeling of like feeling like your whole body was transmitting this one message.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. No, it was fantastic. I thought it was great. So moving into the next, so obviously the next verse and sort of the next section, musically there's the same. Words are totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of. Because he goes back into this sort of storytelling, right? Ramier loin du verbocage. And now, but Ramier, we're talking about Romeo.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think that maybe there's even though it's still sort of a loving, it's a slightly different quality. I'll let that be like your choice.
Okay.
Sauvage, have fun with Sauvage.
Okay.
And he's so like, blah, right? Right? Even in the midst of all you nasty people, he is sighing and having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Les vautours sont and then you go into again this sort of like switch. Les vautours sont raison. A good raison, you can do that. Ah, grand vie. Cependant, leur douce ivresse, nous allons compte la tendresse aux astres de la nuit. Yeah, I love that too. That goes into, I think that little section, this last little bit there also kind of draws into the story of what he's telling, draws in this element of, you know, the stars, the sun, you know, when how Romeo always says, you know, Juliet, what does he say? The sun, the moon, I can't remember any of the Shakespeare right now, but they talk a lot about the stars in the sky and
right.
the, all of that, right?
Right.
So that's always a part of, I think, of their lives and the way they connect to their world.
Yeah.
And it's sort of you maybe bringing that into the picture as well. And then again, and then maybe at the end you realize, garde bien la belle. It's like you go up to the sky and then you ground yourself back and realize that you're still like, nah, nah, nah.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that verse. Or that whole section. That's fun.
Okay.
So tell me for just 1 second, what you're so good already, and you're really expressing like with your face. So tell me, when you make a gesture to your ears in that moment, what is it? Does it feel like what inspires you to do that?
He says it's noisy and it's like unpleasant. Like, ew, I don't want to.
Right.
Maybe it's not the best choice.
It definitely goes with the words, but I think you as like an actress, like what inspires you in that particular moment to make the gesture that's so clearly describing what you're saying? I think, Jenna, the reason I ask is because for the rest of the aria so far, you haven't made sort of indicative gestures, which is, again, this is not a judgment. It's me kind of following you as who you are, like as an interpreter and as an actress and all of these things. And so I'm just curious, this gesture to me all of a sudden seems very indicative when you are doing things before that are actually not, and they're very sort of like, just like speaky or talking like you were talking to somebody.
Yeah.
It's in a big theater, big gestures, and they always tell us, oh, we need a big gesture and blah, blah, blah. You know, and sometimes in smaller mediums like this, you know, we don't obviously need them so much because we can see all the nuances on your face, which is why we always talk about the different nuances in acting, like whether it's film acting or theater. I mean, God, opera, we know it's such a big space, right? So I'm just curious for you if it feels right for you to do it in the moment, if it's sort of something you've done before and just kind of happened by accident, or.
Yeah, I think it was definitely something I was like, I'm not totally sure what to do there. So you probably definitely picked up on that. I don't know, I think I was trying to find things early on like that were kind of, I don't know, fun and yeah. I don't know. I think it was more of a choice of like, I need to fill this. Like, I'm not really sure what to do there because it's like, it feels like a moment of arrival or something like, like it feels like there should be something there. I don't know what. So I don't know. Maybe that doesn't make sense, but yeah.
Something in your head first before we put it outside, because it's also, I think you're also okay to be still as if you were listening again for a response.
Yeah.
Ultimately, so we have to remember what the recit was. You're waiting for a response.
Right.
You're instigating response this whole time. Every verse, every very rhythmic verse, every time you're laughing in their face, you are just bored and you are waiting for a response.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that could kind of, if you're always filling your mind with those thoughts, especially if the thought about if you're done with the text, and your brain, like think, okay, I'm bored and I'm waiting for a response always. Yeah. You're like, aux astres de la nuit. Like maybe you're like, you could also be distracted in that particular moment. Like maybe the first one, like you said, the baiser, he's sort of getting snarky. Mm-hmm. Maybe distracted by looking up at the sky. Let's see here. I'm sorry. This is the one. I'm on the wrong words. One second. Les vautours sont à la queue. Leur chanson qui fuit si derrière. Yeah. Just think of something for a second. Just think of something else. Because I think, at least just for me right now, the idea, if you want to cover your ears, I would just do it like full on covering your ears. Does that make sense?
Like this.
Without it being like because even Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Unless,
yeah.
well, and there was something about the gesture like this too that I was like, are you pointing to your face or are you like just that's why that's why I was wondering where it was coming from. I mean, I think, raison est à grand bruit, you could cover your ears if you want to. You don't have to do any of that, of course. Yeah, you're basically just saying they're a bunch of loud ones, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Maybe start at the beginning where you say like, les vautours sont à la queue, leur chanson qui fuit, si t'es raison, so we get it kind of sooner.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Having the thought before you say the words, how we do it, right? We always have a thought before we speak anyway. So if your thought is they're always so loud.
Yeah.
That thought is that you want, have the thought and be reacting to the thought as you're saying the words rather than it being at the very end of the phrase.
Okay. Yeah.
That took me a while to explain.
No, that makes total sense.
Sorry, I could not get my words to come out in a concise fashion there. Do you want to just do maybe alentour de ce nid sauvage? Je crois, that one.
Okay. Alentour de ce nid sauvage, je crois soupirer. Les vautours sont de crier, des chansons qui puissent écrire, résonne un grand bruit. Something more like that.
Now, how did you feel about that?
That felt a little more clear. Before it was kind of like I was in one place and then all of a sudden,
right.
But it feels a little more, like the thought has already been formed before it's been said.
Yeah, like, no, I like that. I think you could definitely go in that direction, especially if you want to make that gesture and just finding the right way, kind of where to start the idea, right?
Yeah, I kind of like it earlier too, because I think even in that section before, like even then I don't know that I had a super clear thought, but if I know I'm going in that direction, it kind of actually helped that part too.
Mm-hmm.
For me anyway.
Mm-hmm. Totally, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Cependant, leur douce ivresse, nous allons. So then this next section, think about what would be your next thought for this next section?
It's kind of similar, I guess. Meanwhile, I was thinking it could be a little bit of that, like sitting in a tree, KISSING, that kind of like.
Yeah, and if you're going for this thing that her family is loud and obnoxious, basically, then this next section could be, and meanwhile, the turtle doves like to coo softly.
Yeah.
So they go into that soft place. Also dynamic wise, because you can still be sweet and kind of gentle and have a little bit of that,
Yeah.
Aux astres de la nuit, gardez bien la belle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and play around with that. Maybe leur chanson qui féliciterait résonne ta grand vie, and then go into that section.
Okay.
Good. I like it. How do you feel about that?
I like that a lot better. then I think like what you were saying, it's just more of a contrast. It's kind of like at the beginning how we had that contrast where it's like almost genuine, right?
It should be 100% genuine.
Yeah, more sincere instead of like always mocking, because otherwise it's just like the same all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can be genuine when you're mocking. It's just something people do, right? It's like being genuine, like in the laughter or in the kind of teasing or in the nastiness. It's just sort of being honest, I think, throughout each of those feelings.
Yeah.
Good. Do the garde bien là, how do you feel about that section too? Just
Well, the octave leaps are kind of tricky. I also find like I don't know. I feel like I'm always kind of like throwing that E out there, like well, it's like kind of disjunct. I kind of just like pop it out. So if there's a way to connect it, even though it happens so quickly. Same thing with like, I guess anytime I come in kind of like, well, kind of from above, like in the passaggio area, when it's like not an important word, but it has to be in that area, you know, like hitting or like singing it gently instead of like having to like.
Yeah. I was gonna say, did you feel like when you sang Cependant le doux ivresse, or did you feel like you were able to sing that with a slightly more quiet dynamic than before?
Yeah, it felt less pressed, I guess. Yeah, kind of thinking just like smoother, less with that edge of mockery even. It kind of helps it be a little more connected.
Yeah. See if maybe just if the idea of laughter, like true laughter, kind of helps you through this next section.
Okay.
And we can see if it does, it does. If not, that's okay too. Garde bien, like have a little bit of that like sort of directness, I think maybe with how you're presenting your face and your character, maybe that kind of like, garde bien la belle, that kind of just, that sort of informs, you know, like all the technical stuff, the lifting and the blah, blah. And I like to think of the idea, this is a really fast da-dee-da, right? But if you can, you could try to do like a crescendo, this is weird, crescendo and a decrescendo on that F of be.
Okay.
It's so fast, but it might just be mentally to think about, what is it? That little like, yeah, that's like crescendo, decrescendo right before you just release to the top rather than having to like push it up to the top.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll give it a try.
I know, it's like, well, it takes a couple tries sometimes because the body's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But yeah, try that. Bum, 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 with that kind of laughter idea and that crescendo, decrescendo.
Okay.
It's good, it's good. Just do it again. Just do it again. Like, what the? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Better.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I don't know if I can quite do it just yet, but yeah.
It's like, of all places, you can do this when you have lots of leaps and things like that, and it's so much easier when you have longer notes to do it on. It's the shortest of notes, right? So it is. Yeah. It's not the idea is on that decrescendo, particularly like if you had a longer note, you're really connecting to your support. So then the next note that comes is just a release.
Oh, okay.
Think the note and just release to it rather than thinking you have to take any mechanism to kind of produce that.
Okay. Yeah.
Try one more time because I think you did get it though. So.
Okay. I think I just stopped completely before I went up.
A little too much decrescendo.
Yeah. Maybe not to nothing. Okay.
We got to find the parameters.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so one more time, and then should I just go on?
Yeah.
Okay.
How's that feel?
That was better. Yeah, I think I got it that time.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And you can do it on the Votre tourterella.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's another place I have the same problem. So.
Yeah, you want to just do that little phrase?
Yeah.
How did that feel there?
That time it felt like the A kind of came off the voice a little bit. Like
it just kind of had a little blip to it because I think it was just you were trying to kind of like adjust all the pieces. If you want to try just one more time, really think it's like it's like you're really crescendo, that decrescendo really has to be supported still, because if you drop the support, then for sure it'll be unsupported as you go up, right? So it's not so much about making it super quiet, it's about like really finding a support.
Okay.
Right, just one time, even just that little second.
Okay. That felt a little bit more line.
Yeah. Did that feel like a little bit, just a little easier, just to kind of just like kind of throw it out there? Awesome. Cool. Okay, let's just finish up. So,
okay. Yeah, and I struggle a little bit with this run going up, just kind of letting it be free, I guess. I want to micromanage.
But I want you to try one time and just see if you like it. And again, this was the whole intention of this was not to really worry about technique too much, but just for the sake of an ease, tell me what you think about putting more of that smile into this whole thing. And smile, people worry about spreading. You're not going to spread. You're going to find just a more of like a penny kind of pointed place. And you can start on the like, ga, ah, that's kind of like, aha, where the sound, where your nose is open, where air can come out of your nose at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I am not warmed up, excuse me. And the same thing. You can do that crescendo, decrescendo, even on that note, and then really through that scale up and down. But as long as you go into right, sometimes too much of the pulling down to go up can like inhibit the natural flexibility that our larynx actually needs to go up. Like the actually needs to go up and down with pitch, right? Mm-hmm. So you kind of want it to be naturally floating. That was a lot of information. Try that.
Okay. And sorry, real quick, do you hang out on the C a little bit before you come back down, or?
I did. I don't know if I would today, but I did.
Okay, I was never sure, but
I was told by my wonderful, manager and at the time and still friend today, if you can sing the C, hold it. I'm gonna say it's up to you.
Okay.
Because I've heard many people go through it and it's totally fine.
Okay.
He was just very, what's the right word? I don't know. There's a word for it with me. He was just like, I know you can do it, so just do it. I was like, okay. Yeah, how'd that feel?
That feels a lot easier, yeah.
It is, yeah, it is. Do you feel very different than just those bars that you sung from what you were doing before?
Yes, to use the word that was controversial earlier, it felt brighter. It also felt easier going up. It felt a little sloppier. I don't know if it still sounded clear or not.
No, it sounded fine. I mean, look, here's the thing. Whenever we do something different, mm-hmm. It's not an immediate shift into stability. It's going to just be different. And I've always said, like, when you try different things, the first thing that happens are there are going to be little crinkles and cracks because you're creating change. It's like an earthquake. Any change creates crinkles and cracks, but it doesn't necessarily mean that where it ended up is not better than where it was. It's just change. I always go for, hopefully, and I try with myself too, to sing so that it doesn't feel like anything, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, you have to work hard and your body is in it, right? And your brain, you have to work and everything, but like there shouldn't be too much muscular thing going on here or here even to create sound or to have to feel like you have to produce volume. I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest things, at least for me in terms of technique, when I cannot shift the volume on any given note, it's usually because something is not happening the way it should be happening, right? Do you want to try that one more time? It was good.
Okay. Yeah.
I love that. It was great. This little like smile. And you know what? It might sound bright in your head, but what it sounds like out here is we hear kind of like the pure voice that you have with all the upper resonances in your voice as well.
Mhm.
That makes sense rather than a sort of darkened sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both which are beautiful. But then I think it's up to you to decide which one feels best.
Okay. Great. Guardi Dio la belle, oltre tutto il regno, cose
Nice.
Yeah,
That's beautiful. How does it feel?
that feels pretty good. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought totally. I was trying to think. Yeah, it feels more even. I think I like panic grabbed a little bit mid run, but that.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
But yeah, I think it allows that to kind of flip out a little bit easier. And then I think that F, I always just like the passaggio is just a weird place for me, I guess. And I always think there needs to be more pressure than there actually does.
No, yeah, sometimes less is better, right? You can just do that last section. What I was gonna say is you're doing really well in this like you have this on your isha, it just sort of drops a little bit. It's like ah.
Okay, yeah.
Try see what you like. If you like it. It's gonna feel tricky at first, especially because of where it's placed. So if you really just kind of allow it to be in that place, but don't try to like make a big sound because
Okay.
sometimes it won't make a big sound at first, you know.
Okay. So just from Vuzi Shapara at the end. Okay, great.
Better. Did you
Yeah.
feel a little more lifted? Ooh, I'm wondering if you can get into your voo even a little bit more already. Ooh, kind of as if you were like always smiling in the inside. Ooh, like somebody were pulling your ears back. It's like that. Kind of like ah.
Okay.
How's it feel?
That's an interesting analogy. I could feel a little more lift, definitely.
Yeah.
Farther.
Yeah, for sure the vous sha, that sha was for me it was a lot better.
Okay.
It felt good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the right direction personally.
Yeah.
But I always check in, especially with technique stuff, to be like, how does it feel? How does it feel? Don't listen. How does it feel?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. This is wonderful. I'm so glad we did this.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. It was really so nice to meet you and hear you. And thanks for, taking all my whatever I said. I don't even know if it's helpful. And you did all the work. So I appreciate that so much.
Well, thank you so much. It was really awesome. This was super helpful for me. So yeah, and I'm so excited to meet you.
Me too. Well, please stay well and stay healthy and all the things. And, hopefully we'll meet in person one day.
One day, right? Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Yeah. See you later. Bye.